How you guys doing tonight? Just want to thank you guys for joining us this evening. I know for some of you, you guys are in school and we're wrapping up the year and you guys have finals coming up. So, those of you who are joining us this evening, thank you so much. I do appreciate and honor the time that you guys are spending here tonight. Um, out of your evening to be able to come and listen and train with us this evening. So, we'll get straight into it. Appreciate all you guys coming in. One of our big topics that we're going to be talking about this evening is, overcoming the the phrase that I don't have time. That is probably by far the number one phrase or statement that all of us use. You know, we may have we've all done something or we've all gotten into something and started off with tons of momentum, excitement, something that you wanted to try, something you wanted to do. Um, and it kind of came off, took off running, got tons of, momentum in the beginning. And, as it continues to go, whether it's a week later, month later, year later, then it kind of falls through and you don't do it as much. We also we also do stuff or get into things or get interested in stuff where we even give ourselves, types of environments where we may purchase the most expensive program or the most expensive tool or equipment, telling ourselves, if I buy something or if I get this and use investment as a way to, I guess, motivate us to say, if I get this really good stuff and I'm spending all this, money on it, then I'm going to stick with it till the end. And that oftentimes lasts for a while, and then all of a sudden we fall out, right? And it's not that we don't like it. And think about, there's some things we just don't like, we're not interested in, but think about all the times that there's things that you're so interested in, even now to today, right? Are there things that you used to do before, whether it's 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, long time ago, that you still enjoy doing it, right? And the thought of it kind of excites you. And it's not that you, let's say, don't like it anymore. We just say, I don't have time to do that anymore, right? And then we move on to something else. And maybe there's times that, you get into the activity. Maybe you once played tennis. And it's not that you don't like tennis, but maybe you have some friends or some family that come into town and you go and have a day of tennis and you have the most fun, the best time that you can ever have. And, and you kind of tell yourself, wow, I have so much fun. Why did I stop playing, right? And you might think, can I start playing again? And then you start thinking, well, I really don't have time, right? That's one of the biggest things, that comes up in everybody's lives. That's, you know, anywhere you look, or people may say, the most valuable thing in our lives, the most valuable commodity that we have is our time, right? Time is the one thing that we can't get back. So as we value our time, we're always putting some kind of value on what we're inserting into those blocks of time to, give us a sense of the most excitement, fulfillment, productivity that we want to get out of our day. So, for me, definitely it's something that I've used all my life. I use it to this day, right? That I find things that I enjoy and I tell myself, I don't have time. I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time to, go down to the beach. I wish I had more time to go fishing. I wish I had more time, to do something, to spend with some friends that are, an hour away in the next city over, right? It's understanding that, it happens to all of us. But what we're going to be discussing tonight is what are strategies to overcome this phrase and story we tell ourselves that we say, I don't have time. And so I do want to share a little story with you before we get started on kind of my journey in one of the things that if you joined us a few weeks ago, I had mentioned I was working on uh, something in my golf game to gain more distance. And the one thing that I remember saying pretty clearly is the one thing I don't want to do is waste my time trying to work out to gain more distance. So I'm looking at different avenues, as many avenues as I can to find I really don't want to work out. So how can I still hit the targets that I want to get in the distance, the speed, and everything that I need without going to the gym, without working out, because I'm not interested in working out. I feel like I don't have time to work out. And again, it's not that I don't want to work out. It's just I didn't want to work out and I didn't want to fill the time in. So if you had met me, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, you would have saw a different me, right? You would have saw a person that was 40 pounds heavier than what you have today and definitely out of shape. Actually, I found a picture that I'll share with you guys. It's on my phone. Um, and this is me, I think it was back in 2012 or 13. So you can see kind of where I was. But if you can see this, this was at a wedding me and Seiko went to in Hawaii. But that kind of is where I was at summer of 2012. So, you know, maybe you can't tell, but if you looked at me from the side view, that's why I'm standing straight ahead. I would take up half of the screen there. Seiko definitely looks, the same, as beautiful as she always did there. But that was me back in 2012, and I kind of went on this nutrition and fitness journey, and it wasn't necessarily to lose weight, but it was to just be in a better physical condition so I could sustain the lifestyle that I wanted teaching golf, right? So at that time, I had um, back pain, my hip hurt, my knee hurts. I just wasn't as mobile, even though I golfed all my life and I swung the golf club every single day or nearly every day because I'm at the golf course. I just wasn't comfortable. And knowing like my dad has um, conditions where he has tons of back issues, or now he's better with the doctors and through a lot of surgeries, right? And one of the things that worried me was like, is this hereditary? Am I going to get what he got? Because he ran into in his later part of years, tons of issues where, countless surgeries, countless doctor's appointments. Luckily now today, after about 10 years of going to some of the best doctors that he found and he loves, and he's in the best health that he's been in a very long time. But that kind of scared me a ton because I'm like, wow, I kind of pictured down the road, um, 50 years down the road, 40 years down the road. I was like, I don't want to be like that. And that kind of got me nervous. And now I'm thinking like, if I'm already feeling it at that time in my 20s, late 20s, I can't even do the math here, 2012. No, late 20s. Um, it's not looking very, not looking very good for me, especially if I'm having an active lifestyle on the golf course all day. So, I did get into the fitness and got myself motivated, disciplined enough in nutrition and working out all the time to, in a year, I lost 40 pounds, got stronger. All my back pain went away. Definitely a lot more comfortable. I could golf more, just made my quality of life better, right? So I'd say fitness isn't something that I love to do, but it was something I had to do, right? The fitness and nutrition, right? And even doing it, it was after I felt better after a year. It wasn't just a year. It was, I continued that journey all the way up until maybe 2 years ago is where I stopped working out, but I maintained my nutrition, right? And my nutrition is what keeps me like in the shape that I want to do today, right? And again, going back to a few weeks ago, I said, like, there's no ways I'm gonna go work out just because it's not fun. I don't want to do it, and I really don't need it. And I found ways around to get to the outcome. Um, but the story has changed, and in the few weeks, I believe it was like 5 or 6 weeks ago, whenever that our last, uh, when I told you I'd never work out, but for the past 5 or 6 weeks, I did start working out, and now working out is part of, you know, something that I do every single week now. So now going from zero, telling myself I don't have, and reason why I didn't work out too is I just said I don't have time to work out because I'd rather fill the time with something else, right? But now I'll work out for anywhere from 5 to 7 days a week, just depending on the week, but I'll schedule it in advance and I'll know when I'll work out. But minimum, it's 5 days in a week that I'll go work out. And it's nothing strenuous, but I'm adding it into, into blocks of time where I thought I didn't have time, right? And I tell you this because although I don't like doing it, it leads us into our first strategy in how to overcome I don't have time, right? We make time for things that are extremely important to the future that we look at. So although I still don't like working out, I do it just because I have to, because I know the effect of me working out. Um, one, I notice like my back starts getting tighter, my hip gets, a little bit more aching on some days, so I know I gotta do some kind of core strengthening, right? And I see the effect coming back, and it reminds me of, where I was back in 2012 before I started, 2012, 2013. And it shows me something that I don't want to go to, so I'm adding it in. Another reason, why I add it in is, some days that I just feel a little bit more stressed than others. So I'm adding in working out to make sure like I'm doing some kind of highly active thing to just release myself in the morning, right? Or sometimes it's at the end of the day, just kind of release all the tension in my body, right? It's a struggle for me to do it, right? I don't want to do it, but the effect of me feeling better that evening or feeling better for the rest of the day to set my day straight is the reason why I do it, right? And same schedule that I have, I didn't take anything away. I just needed to find avenues and blocks where I could plug this in where I knew it wouldn't interrupt my schedule and it would still increase the quality of, the productivity and the life that I was looking for. So going into our strategy, we have 4 basic little frames here or rules that we want to get through to make sure anytime we say I don't have time, do you really not have time, or can we create something that we can make time or find the time that's available? So, excuse me. Going into our first one, it says build a connection to your compelling future. And what that means is, it's, how many of you have so we all want to golf here, play golf at a very high level and see how far we can take it. But how many of you have actually thought of what it's like at the end of the game, at the end of the journey? Like when I take it as far as I can, what is as far as I can to me? What is the next level to me? Have you guys thought about, I want to get really good at golf. What is really good? I want to be on the high school team. What is on the high school team? Am I leading the team? Am I the captain of the team? Am I, where am I taking the team? Do I want to play college golf? What kind of college do I want to play? Where do I want to be? Do I want to play competitive tournament golf? Do I want to win golf championships? What future is it that you want, right? So we want to build a connection to understanding, we all want to golf here. And we need to connect where I am now with, what is the future that's going to drive me there, right? Because once I can see the future, I can plan backwards to understand, is it worth it? Like, is that future worth it for me, to work as hard, to create the time to find and move things around and be resourceful enough to, overcome this. I don't have time, and make the time to put into golf, to put into to train, to practice, to build a team, build a community, to support, the direction that you want to go, right? If you're thinking about your future, where is it that you want to go? And you say, well, I just want to shoot good golf, right? We don't even know what good golf is. And if you think really hard at what's good golf to me, because every day we wake up, good means something else, right? Today, good could mean 70, 72. Another day, like I could shoot 85, and good that day would be, oh man, I just wish I shot 75, or I wish I broke 80 and shot 79. That would have been good for me today, considering how I'm hitting it, right? We don't have that bright future in front of us. Whereas if you say, I wanna get to play Division I college golf, be the leader of the team, get my studies and my academics up so I can get into the college of my dreams and be able to lead that team. And all of a sudden, and you have the data behind it by researching and say, what does it take? What do these leaders of these golf teams take for Division I golf, right? At the schools that is my dream. Do I have, what academics does it have? Do I need to get in? What kind of test scores? And you have this big picture of like, this is what it takes to be the captain of this team, performance golf wise. It's what it takes academics wise. This is the balance of my life and my schedule once I get there. Is that something that I really want? And if it is, right, then you can work your way backwards and say like, now what's next, right? But if there's no compelling future to look forward to, right, then it's nothing but an interest that we have that we start being reactive to, right? I'm interested today, I'm interested this week, I'm interested this year because it's fun, I made a lot of friends, and I see a lot of progress, but it's not really sustainable, right? So when we're looking at building your future and compelling future and connecting yourself now to then, it's finding all of these emotional connections to be able to, no matter what you're going through, how hard, how easy, how fast, how slow, what comes up in your life, right? Like, this is the future that I see. This is where I want to go to. And it makes it so much easier to see and prioritize the things that are coming in my life, right? So one of my favorite activities that I've learned, over the past, I learned this one last year, I believe. And it's probably been one of the greatest activities that I've ever, simple activity, but one of the greatest activities that made the biggest impact, right? And it's actually, journaling, and excuse me, my sinuses. Sorry. But it's actually, writing in a journal. And if you don't have a journal, I do recommend you owning a journal, going out to get one, get a notebook, anything to just kind of get your thoughts down and track your emotions, your expressions, like how your day went, and just log things down, right? You gotta be able to know, how are we doing today? How are we this week versus last week? Sometimes we just need to vent, right? And you just write down and you keep on writing to get things off your mind, right? And just getting that release. So this is something great for a journal exercise. If you don't have a journal, you just write it down. But it's an exercise to imagine yourself. Imagine yourself 1 year out. So imagine this day, December 12th, next year. So we're sitting December 12th, 2020, and we're sitting exactly where you're sitting today. What is it in 1 year, looking back, what would get you excited, in your golf, in your life, right? Because it can't just be playing really good golf. It has to be blended in with, the quality of the life that you have, your academics will come in, your social part of your life comes in. But looking back 1 year from today, or like stepping into the future 1 year, December 12th, 2020, sit down and start writing and think. And you can think right now of, what does my bright, compelling future, look like 1 year to this day, right? What would get me so excited that I could get and gain all this momentum, and doesn't matter what comes in, because I'll always see that future in front of me, right? And get it as clear as you can, right? And I'll give you a couple minutes just to kind of think about it for a minute, and then I'll share with you like one of mine, right? And so I'll go a little bit slower so you can just think a little bit. If you do have a piece of paper, write down some notes a little bit, and you know jot down a little bit where you see yourself, or what would it be like sitting at the desk, at the table that you're at 1 year from today, and having the most magnificent last year, and what would that look like, right? Draw that up. um, and as we go, like my story would be like I've done this exercise, and looking back 1 year from today, and I actually did it today because I knew I'd be talking to you guys, and it switched a little bit. It switched a little bit from a couple months ago when I did it before, but I've had so much fun and joy like doing our online webcasts and training like this, and getting to connect with everybody, and sharing all this knowledge and strategies and information, and all of this stuff that builds up in my head just to get it out and share with all of you guys. As a year from now, I would love, like, what would get me super excited is sitting down and being on the same call that I'm having this evening on another topic about taking your golf game to the next level, and having 1,000 people and families like listening in, and changing the lives of 1,000 families out here, and taking some of the content that we're doing already in here, and breaking it in little chunks to be putting on social media to share with all the other golfers and families around the world that may not have access to this information, or may not even know it, and get it into 1 million people, 1 million families around the world through any kind of social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, just to get little chunks of strategy and high performance concepts, so they can take the skill that they have and just tremendously make it better, change their lives with all of this content. And sitting 1 year from today, that is something that would truly excite me, right? To be able to influence a large number of people to make sure they love golf as much as I love golf, so they can take in and get the experiences, and then they can share it with their friends, their family, new people that they made, and just kind of spread out like the lessons that they've learned, fast track other players that are struggling, or that may be really good, or maybe starting, to get them to where they want to get faster. All right, so that would be my compelling future that I'm wanting to be 1 year from today, right? So going a little bit further, right? It's not just building and connecting to your compelling future, right? But it's also, having it be consistent, right? So it's not just thinking about this, tonight. It's thinking about it tonight, because every time we think and we start reviewing like where we want to be, we're in different phases of our life. So we may not want, and may not be as compelling next month or in 6 months as it is, tonight. So this is an activity that you should definitely do like at least once a quarter, or at the very minimum twice a year. But if you're just getting started, right, you're kind of still searching for like, what does that future look like for me, right? So it's something, if you're just getting started, you want to do, the beginning of every month, right? Because you've gone through a lot of experiences, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of success, a lot of hardship, and we want to know next month, what does that look like? Is it the same? Does it get better? And doing it, monthly in the beginning, to get the consistency and knowing what that future looks like, and then spacing it out, maybe then doing it like every quarter. But something like this, the more often you do it, the better you have the picture, right? It's all about the consistency and frequency that you do it, that gets you highly motivated to continue on this journey. So that brings us to point number 2 right here. We all want motivation, and motivation is what drives us. But it's not just motivation. I wrote here, you know, we create our own motivation. And if we're all here listening, right, that means you're all highly motivated already around this topic of golf and getting to, you know, high performance golf and taking your golf game to the next level. What that means is anytime you go out and play and you go out and practice, once you're there, there's probably rarely a time that you get out there and say like, I really don't want to do it today. I'm just kind of going through the motions, right? Whether it's you being there and you're creating a relationship with one of your really good friends that you're going to practice with, or you're there to train for that big tournament that you're going to play, or that next round, or that one obstacle that you're trying to overcome that's going to take you to that next level. For whatever reason that you're there, we're always, you know, in a sense, motivated, right? It's not like, well, I'm going to just hit a ball and just sit down and go on my phone and I just can't wait to get picked up. So we're all highly motivated to, you know, if we're here listening around this topic of golf and taking our game to the next level. So creating your motivation is all about the consistency, right? So your consistency is what creates motivation, right? And think of it like, I guess the discussion can be that we might fight in our head is going to be, well, when I get highly motivated, I'll then be able to practice, play, train, get to the golf course more often. But I'm just waiting for that. I got to get my skills a little bit better to then build that motivation, to then create the frequency and the consistency, right? And that's, you know, for us a lot of times, right? But when I say you need to create your own motivation, it's your consistency creates your motivation, which means whether you want to or not, if your compelling future is strong enough that you really want that, you schedule that thing in there and you do it, right? You create, you know, if you've been here for our practice design and your season design, right? Then you know how to design your season, you know how to design each practice. So you're not going through these emotional roller coasters on what should I practice, how should I do it, and overcoming all of these things like on the fly. It should be pre-designed, so you show up and you go through what you've designed, right? So the more frequently you do it, or not more frequently, the more consistently you do it, right, the higher your motivation gets, right? Because if I'm creating my schedule and I'm creating the frequency that I want, my skills get better. As my skills get better, I become more motivated because I start hitting better shots. I start hitting, you know, playing, shooting better scores, right? I start overcoming obstacles that I had a month ago that I thought was never possible, and all of a sudden it's a piece of cake now. So, you know, don't wait to get motivated to build the consistency, right? Create the consistency first, and that way you're creating your own motivation. Also going into your motivation creating it, right? There's two other parts, right? Once you got the consistency, you also, again, I'm going to link you back to your compelling future. It's, you know, dream big, right? You follow your dreams, right? When we're young kids, everybody's telling us to dream, and as we get older, right, some of the dreams start to not seem real, and we get conditioned into like start thinking about reality. What can you really do, right? But we never want to settle for less than what we're capable of doing, and what is capable in the future is, you know, we have no idea what we're capable of doing in the future. So, you know, you want to dream as big as you can, because that dream of maybe you're here thinking, I want to, you know, be the world #1 golfer on the PGA Tour, world #1 in the LPGA Tour, or maybe I want to, you know, hold up the Masters trophy or the ladies US Open, or whichever dream that you have, right? Or playing golf for a living, right? Because that's getting you to connect to the future and keeping you motivated. And the next part is, you just have to schedule the time, right? And we talked about the frequency or the consistency. You just got to be consistent on scheduling the time to do the work, right? Sometimes it's going to be fun, sometimes it's not. It's getting yourself to look at the schedule, put it in there, and then do it. So definitely, dream big and schedule it to create that momentum. All right, next we'll go into, break down the roadblocks. And as we go into this, there's tons of things. And if we just think every time I said I don't have time, something came up, um, I'm going to do it tomorrow or I'll do it later, right? That means there's something that's blocking us, that's preventing us from doing it. And a lot of times it's the same thing that comes up over and over, right? Maybe it's a handful of things that comes up. So when you want to break down the roadblocks, if you know what the roadblock is, you want to schedule around that. You want to anticipate what is the thing that's going to hold me back from committing to my schedule that I planned and figure out an alternative to handle that situation. Here's an example of what I mean. So for myself, one of my biggest things is I'm always, I guess, if I'm trying to be productive at home, whether it's writing out the copy for our talk tonight or designing my weekly classes and figure out what I'm going to do, something where I just have to focus on my creativity and figure out how to plan everything out. And I just got to be to myself. That's, it's fun, but it takes time. It's a lot of effort. And sometimes I'm just not in the mood, right? And, we all been there where it's important stuff. Even if you have time, you're just not in the mood and you just don't want to do it. So now I find myself all the time, right? I'm start going into the kitchen here and then I'm washing dishes, or there's things on the floor. I start picking up things on the floor. I start wiping things down. I start, cleaning the room, doing some laundry, right? All of these important things, right? They're important in my life, but they're not important in the block of time that I have scheduled to do work. And why is it that I do that, right? It's because to be creative, to think, to be focused in this time, it is work. So it's difficult, right? But how easy is it for me to go to the kitchen and just clean some dishes, throw it in the dishwasher? Then when that's done, our daughter Charlotte left some toys over here. Let's go put that away. Oh, there's some laundry over here. Let me go dump that in because it's only going to take a few minutes, and a few minutes add up, and all of a sudden, there's been so many days that I said, I'm just going to spend a few minutes first because I need time to think. I'm going to do it in 10 minutes. And I start cleaning the dishes, picking up toys, doing the laundry. Oh, now the laundry's done and the dryer's done. I better just fold the clothes and put it away because I won't get to it later. And now 1 hour, 2 hours, and sometimes even 3 hours have gone by and I did not get any closer to like the thing or the task or the objective that I was meaning to do. And all of a sudden, I don't have time anymore. And my day's gone or my evening's gone. And now I'm tired. So now I'm going to be doing this tomorrow morning. Right. And we push it that way. Like, oh man. And we give ourselves these stories that, I should have did this. Or if I didn't do that, then the house would be dirty. Right. And you rationalize with that stuff. So if like for me, that's one of the big roadblocks, right? I understand. So how do I break down the roadblock before it stops me to be productive? Number one is if I'm scheduling time for me to work at home, I'm going to make sure before that day is here, everything's picked up, the dishes are clean, the laundry's done. So automatically I'm thinking like my go-to is if I'm sitting down at home, if I go upstairs in the office and I sit down and I want to think, my brain's automatically, is the dishes done? Do I have to pick up stuff? Is the laundry done? Right? And if it goes check, 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 all of a sudden I don't have anything to do and I can come back and I design my way. Unfortunately, that's not always the case where we're disciplined in that area to make sure everything's picked up at every moment. Dishes, so there's still dishes there sometimes, or toys on the floor, still some laundry, right? So what other options do I have, to break down these roadblocks? So now what I do is, obviously I'll know like if things need to be picked up, but I'll design my way around it. I Most of the time that I do all of my productive work is not at home anymore. So now I schedule time to drive somewhere. I go to a coffee shop, I'll go to the club, right, where I can just have time to myself. I don't have the distractions or the roadblocks that's going to be coming in and saying, do I need to do that, right? What's going to be easier for me, right? And it really depends on the week, the day, what I have planned out. If I had scheduled time to say like I have open time here to clean around, right, I'll do the dishes, clean up, take the laundry, and then, no problem at home. And if I don't have that time, I'll know first thing my blocks that I have is always in the mornings. So I'll make sure first thing in the morning when I'm ready to go, right, I'm leaving the house, going into some place, to a coffee shop or to the club to do some work and get all this productivity where I can be really disciplined on from, 9:30 to 10:30, I'm doing this. 10:30 to this time, I'm doing this. And I get to be really focused and productive, and I get to see my schedule out in advance and plug things in where it's needed. So, you know, anticipate what holds you back a lot of times. What's the one thing or the two or the three things or the common things that always come up no matter what, right? And work your way around that. Find different options and avenues to then get yourself around it. So if you really want to practice golf, right, and if you're in school right now and you have a big exam coming up at the end of the week, but you want to practice, let's say 3 days this week. Let's just say it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You have a big exam, and some of you in school right now, you have finals coming up. So it's a big week coming up next week, right? As we're closing out the year. So how do you get into a situation where you have finals, but you want to play really good golf, right? How do you fit in time that part of your compelling future has to be, if you're in school, has to be, maintaining your grades, getting a very, very good grade as best as you can, working at it, and knowing that you put everything in there. So how can you also add that in, right, around practicing for golf? Can we wake up a little bit earlier to study? Can we wake up a little bit earlier? Can we wake up an hour earlier before our day starts, to fit in some practice? Or maybe sometimes, can I study a little bit at school during recess for this day? If our recess or if our lunch or wherever it is, if we have a break, can I study a little bit, do some activities then? So it opens up maybe an hour block after. So you're just finding different ways, knowing that this is going to come up. How can I get this sooner? Or if you're in the building our season sequence, right? If this is the season's coming up, I'm going to be in school, and I know finals are coming up end of the year in December, or end of the year, or ending in December, end of summer, or beginning of summer in May or June. It's going to be a lot of cramming in there, or not a lot of cramming, but a lot of, studying, a lot of exams, finals, whatever it is. What can you do and spread it out throughout the entire semester? So it's now no longer you saying, oh my God, I got to cram all week because I have, 5 finals next week, 6 finals, and I got to get it all in. Is there something that you could have been proactive with even beyond, right, the last week or last 2 weeks, and say, well, I actually have 3 months, 4 months to figure all of this out as I'm learning the content. Is there extra that I can do, maybe 30 minutes a day, or maybe an hour every 2-3 days to review this content and start compounding it in and finding learning strategies. So now when it comes to the last week, when it's finals, all of a sudden it's not cramming. All of a sudden it's just another week that you're preparing yourself, and it's not all built into one. And now all of a sudden we have tremendous time, and it's not like, oh, I have all these finals, I have no time, right? Whereas we could see the roadblock. We know when our exams are going to be. We see the roadblock months in advance. What can you do even that far in advance? So you're prepared by the end of the semester or the year to do your best and still fit in, the golf or the activities that'll fulfill you and get you closer to the dream that you want. um, Finally, we have win the day. I say you need to win the day. We need to create momentum to keep on going. But how do we get tomorrow to work, right? If we win today, then tomorrow is easier. If we lose today, we go backwards in momentum, then all of a sudden we get discouraged for tomorrow. We won't want to do it. So once you kind of put all of these things together, right? You connect yourself to your compelling future. You create your motivation, right? You create the consistency in your to make yourself more motivated. You find and anticipate everything that's going to hold you back, that could hold you back. And now you put all of that and say, I have your strategy, and how do I win? Or now I just need to win the day and get through all of today and have it be successful, right? Your interpretation of having a fulfilling day. So now tomorrow comes, you have this extreme momentum to want to win tomorrow, right? And then you want to win the next day, and then you want to win the next day, and all of a sudden you win the next day. 1 year goes by, and you have tremendous, tremendous growth all the way through. So, few things to win the day. The number one, way and how will I win the day is you need to set yourself up in a space where you're not reactive, right? If you start the day and if you are going throughout your day in a reactive state, meaning you wake up and all of a sudden you need to do something and you forgot about something, all of a sudden you react to do something. It takes you off of your consistent schedule. And as you kind of move yourself along the day, you get some text, you get some social media. So you pull your phone, now you're constantly reacting on your phone. Oh, that's a crazy post here. Or that would be, well, that's interesting about this person. Now you're constantly reacting because you want to see updates on what's going on. And all of a sudden, we're reacting so much to what's coming up, in today's day and age, right? There's so many, our lives are designed to have tremendous amounts of distractions in them with how easy access to technology and to know what our friends are doing, to know what's going on in the news, to know at all times current events, what's going on, right? And just to access anything is so easy. So we're in a world that's creating us to be reactive. So how do you set yourself apart from reacting to, from reacting is you need to win the morning before you win the day, right? So you need to have routines in place to start the day. If you train yourself to be reactive every single day, and what's the easiest way? The most common way that we train ourselves to be reactive is, first thing we wake up is we look at our phone. Did somebody text me? Did somebody call? Do I need to get back? Now you're being reactive on somebody else's schedule. That is probably by far the most common thing. Or if we're working, as soon as we wake up, we're checking our emails, looking if anybody has been texting us for something important, right? And now we're no longer on our schedule, we're on the external world schedule, right? There's a time and a place, right? If we look at how we're going to block off and create different times and when we should be looking at things and, being productive. But if you start the day being super reactive, then you kind of just lose track and you gain that reactive momentum. And then all of a sudden throughout the day, you're just being reactive without you even knowing. So create these routines in the morning that you follow no matter what, right? And for me, I'll share with you mine, and I've been using this routine for like a very long time. And it's, create something that's simple that you're gonna be able to do all the time. But something that I carried on for myself when I was, changing my nutrition, right, is the start of every morning as soon as I get up is I'm gonna have a tall glass of water, cold water, like a really large glass of cold water. I have that. The next thing is I'm going to have, a shake to start my day to just get something in my system And that shake, believe me, if I'm waking up at 6 a.m., the last thing I want to do is put something and eat something and put something in my system that early. So as much as I really don't want to have a shake at 6:30 in the morning sometimes it's at 5 when I wake up if I'm doing something early in the morning, and I mean within the first 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes of me getting out of bed, I'm going to have a large glass of water. I'm going to have a shake no matter what to start my day, right? And then now I'll design into my morning routine. I'm going to design like what are the days that I'm going to be working out in the morning versus when I'll be working out in the evening. Sometimes I have a morning and evening. All right, they're not long ones. So it's a 15-minute little workout that I just, have it on YouTube, finding some free videos just to get myself getting energy out, right? And starting my day. So then I'll have a workout and then I'll have a cool down, right? I'll have a cool down 10-minute like little meditation to bring myself and calm myself down before I start. And at this time, right, I won't look at my phone. Typically I'll have my phone off in the mornings. I'll have it on airplane mode so it doesn't ring, it doesn't buzz. The only thing that comes up are certain alarm triggers that I set. But I'll do a little cool down meditation. I will then, depending on the day, I'm gonna cook my breakfast and have it. Sometimes I gotta head out and I'll go to wherever I'm gonna do to do my stuff, and then I'll have breakfast there before I start. But before I do anything productive, I'm always spending the first 30 minutes of my day, not my day, but my day before I do any kind of like work or productivity thing, with seeing 30 minutes planning out my entire day. So the day before or the week before, I already know what's on my schedule. So I'm taking 30 minutes to look at like, well, okay, the first thing in my block, I need to do this, right? So I get myself in the right frame of mind to expect, is there anything that could distract me in this area that's going to prevent me from doing this? All right, the next block I have this, then I'm getting to the course at this time. I have these coaching sessions on this time, this is when I have my meal. I'll kind of block that in there, but it's getting me to overview the day and spend 30 minutes like, is there anything that I don't need in there that I can replace at this time to make the day a little bit more productive? Because sometimes something comes up, right? Sometimes I get a little bit more clarity or a little bit more, something more important comes up that now I have to fill in, but it's easy for me to fill in before I start my day. So I'm wanting to win the morning. So if I have to change anything out, I'm able to value like, is this more important? Will this give me better value for today if I plug it in at 10 o'clock and take that thing out? And maybe that will go in the evening or that goes tomorrow, right? But it gives me that option. So I'll always spend 30 minutes there. Then I'll turn on my phone and do whatever it is that I had scheduled for the day, right? So sounds like a lot, and it is, right? I'm human, and if I could stick to that schedule 100% and I do it every time, that is my goal. That's what gets me moving forward. But the truth is, I don't, right? That's what I have designed. And there's days that I just don't have, like, again, I don't have the time because maybe I woke up late, or so I can't do my cool down meditation to kind of settle myself down, but I'll do the workout. Or maybe I woke up really late, or I didn't anticipate something the day before and I forgot about something and I can't even work out when I scheduled it. The days that my morning routine gets disrupted and I'm not able to follow it, there's a tremendous amount more chaos that comes up. And it's not like it's bad chaos, but I find myself a lot more reactive to certain things because I left the day in a reactive mood, and it takes me a lot longer to catch up. So definitely figure out a routine that works for you, right? And create that to start winning your mornings, right? If you can win the morning, that is the easiest way to generate that momentum to win the day, right? And so as we kind of went a little deeper in that, right, how do you win the mornings? I briefly mentioned that I do some prepping the night before. So the only way you win the mornings consistently is you have to start your mornings the night before. or the evening before. So this is where I personally need a lot more discipline in, and this is where I need to add my own routine and structure in the evening, because for me, you know, I I'll say I know what to do, but do I do it? And we all do this, right? I don't do what I know sometimes, because sometimes these concepts are so simple, right? It says if I got to get up at 6, I'm going to make sure I go to bed at 9:30. So it's easy. I just get to bed 9:30. Does that happen? No. A lot of times it doesn't happen. Even though I know I should go to bed 9:30, I have it in my schedule, bed at 9:30 on these days. But sometimes our daughter Charlotte, I get her to the room too late. She's not tired. She's not ready to go down, and it doesn't happen, right? Or I get caught up, and sometimes I just want to watch TV. I'm looking at the TV. I was like, oh, this is such a good show. I'm right in the middle. I don't want to stop. I'm just gonna finish this show tonight, right? And finish that, and all of a sudden I'm past it, which then I get into a spot where I still got to get my sleep. So I know I got to wake up in the morning. I'm just gonna not prepare for tomorrow. I know what to do, and I'll wake up in the morning, and then it's gonna be disrupted because I'll miss something because I didn't plan it. So the one thing I'm working on personally is I'm making sure I have a consistent routine in the evening, so I know that what's the roadblocks that comes in the evening time for me, right? The roadblocks are the nights that I have to put down our daughter. Sometimes she just doesn't want to go down. What can I do to make sure she goes down at the time she's supposed to go down? Maybe those days I need to get her into the room sooner, right? Which means I got to plan a little bit earlier in the day to make sure I'm done with certain things before, but get her to the room earlier where she's not going directly to the room and say, you got to go to bed. It's like I get to calm her down on the bed, read her a book, or just do something, shut the lights to just get her whole, body to slow down, in order for her to go down at the right time. Or if there's TV shows that I get caught into, maybe I have to figure out that's a roadblock. I just have to tell myself, you're not watching the show, because I know once I start that show, I'm going to want to finish it. Or if I start that movie, I'm going to finish it. So, what's another day that I can look at my schedule into the future and say, well, it's recorded on TV, I can go watch it then, right? So now it's for me creating these routines in the evenings to know that all the roadblocks that could come up that would prevent me from assessing my schedule and looking at my schedule to start my morning off right? And that doesn't mean it's like I'm spending hours, right? I'm saying I'm spending like 5 to 10 minutes the evening before to see what I'm doing in the morning. But now my routine may encounter something that's a little bit longer to make sure I get myself in that space to review my day before I go to bed, right? And I'm creating all of that. So, win your mornings by making sure you plan and prepare the evening before. And, the better you can do that, the better chances and the more frequent you're going to be able to win each of your days, create the momentum. And when you can have control over your time and your schedule, we can now overcome all of these I don't have time situations and statements that we tell ourselves, because we'll create the time, we'll manage our time better, we'll attach it to your compelling future, and we'll be able to prepare so far in advance that all of a sudden you're just moving and shifting things around and you're finding ways to fit things in even when you don't have time. So that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Before you go, I do want to share the most common things, I'd say the common mistake that you would take off of today of overcoming I don't have time. So as we take in the last hour or 50 minutes to an hour of what we discussed here, the most common things that we will do from here is, it's pretty simple, right? It's, I'm just gonna think about my future. Oh, that's great, right? I'm gonna create my motivation by seeing what days I can do it this week, or maybe next week. What days can I fit it in? I know, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm gonna have this already scheduled. I'm gonna put this in there. these are the things that could get in the way, and I'll say like, oh, maybe transportation is an issue. I'm going to see if somebody else can give me a ride, and um, maybe I'm going to have a test here, so I'm going to think study at this time, or um, weather's going to be bad. It's forecast to be bad, so maybe not a good day, or and you're thinking of all these little things here, and you're starting to stack everything in your head, and you'll even say like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning super early, maybe 30 minutes early to like do something productive to open up a window in the evening or in the afternoon where I can practice. Or maybe I'll wake up 15 minutes early to go outside in the yard and go swing the golf club, go chip, go putt, do something, right? So I can start my day not reacting and get myself winning the day starting tomorrow. And what happens is you start stacking all of these things into your head and just overload everything, and all of a sudden you don't do it. So what you really need to do is don't do it in your head. Write it down, get it on a piece of paper, create your schedule, right? The one thing that you need to do even for this evening, right? After this is over, the next 5 to 10 minutes, spend on a journal, on a piece of paper, write like your compelling future. 1 year from today, I had the best year of my life in golf and in everything that you want to stack in there. What does that look like, right? What is the best year that could ever happen? And write that down. 5 to 10 minutes spending right after this, because you don't want to fall into the trap and say, I'm busy right now, I got some homework to do, or I got some emails to send out, I'm going to do it right after that. Because now all of a sudden, you're getting yourself into a reactive state, and you're going to just say, well, I don't have time now, so I'm going to do it tomorrow morning, first thing. I'm going to wake up early, do it first thing tomorrow. And tomorrow comes, and then all of a sudden, I'm too tired. I'm going to do it when on my lunch break today. Or I'm going to do it tomorrow afternoon. And it keeps on pushing by, and you find that, later or tomorrow, it never comes, but it's always in your head, and it's something that I really got to do. I really want to do it. It makes sense, but today I just didn't have time, or tonight I just didn't have time. Find 5 to 10 minutes right after this, write down your compelling future, take your action today, right now, and start creating the momentum to win your day. So thank you guys all. If you guys have any questions, please let me know and write them in the chat. All right, awesome. Well, I just want to thank you guys all. I know, a lot of you guys have school tomorrow and finals coming up, so you guys have a lot to study. So I do appreciate you guys taking the time out of your very, very busy schedules and made the time to join us and get trained on how to overcome I don't have time. So now we'll create the time and then create the value and outcomes that we always want to have, whether it's in our life or in the golf game and the golf achievements that you want to get for the future. So thank you guys, and you guys have a beautiful evening. Good night.